Good afternoon, planet Earth. Thank you very much for tuning in today to the QC Cubed Space Station. My name is Eric Staubus, and I am the QC Cubed Space Coach. Today, in video number 3, I want to tell you about the experiments that I have done with pyramids. What you're going to learn is that, well, the mystery of the pyramid is not to be found somewhere in the pyramid. Like they're looking in the great pyramids in Egypt, they're looking in there to try and find something physical. They're trying to find the secret in the pyramid. But the real secret of the pyramid is in how it works. To solve this mystery, I want to begin by explaining how the universe works. That way you'll understand how the pyramid works. It's actually a very simple explanation, but it's not one that seems to be provided in any of the science or philosophy classes that we might take at school. At least I never saw them. But here it is. How does the universe work? Well, the universe works in threes. And, of course, let it come as no surprise that we have 3 vocabularies that we use to describe this process. We have the scientific vocabulary, we have the philosophical vocabulary, and we have the poetic vocabulary. The scientific vocabulary is the one that's most commonly used because, well, we live in a scientifically oriented world. And that vocabulary identifies the creative process by cause, action, and effect. 1, 2, 3. Cause, action, effect. The philosophical vocabulary says that the universe works through mind, thought, and thing. 1, 2, 3. Mind, thought, thing. And the poetic vocabulary has the universe creating through God, the Son of God, and the Son of Man, or God, the Christ, and the Holy Spirit. God creating through the Christ, and everything that is made is contained within the Holy Spirit, okay? These are the 3 vocabularies we use to describe how anything gets created in this spiritual universe that we all occupy. And let it come as no surprise that there are 3 states of mind that function through 3 planes of consciousness that we all evolve through. We all have a physical interaction with the universe through our senses. It's called the body consciousness. We all have a mind, our own mentality, and that's called the intellectual consciousness. And we all are really spiritual beings, children of the one creator of the universe, alive in this physical temple, okay? And we all have a spiritual consciousness. So we have the physical consciousness, we have the intellectual consciousness, and we have the spiritual consciousness. And these all function through the 3 vocabularies, or I should say the 3 vocabularies describe how we function through these different states of mind. We speak most often in the scientific vocabulary, but sometimes we use the philosophical, and sometimes we use the poetic vocabulary. Usually we mix the terms. Okay. Anyway, I invite you at your leisure to ruminate upon these 2 sets of 3s, 3 vocabularies, 3 levels of consciousness. Continue your daily activities with a bit more awareness of your own part in the evolution of humanity. We all play a part. Now, I want to tell you about the experiments I've done with pyramids. I built my first large pyramid in 1986. I built it because I wanted to see if I could, and I did. I look back and I can't really remember why I wanted to build a pyramid. I just know I had to. So I did. And of course I used the same dimensions as the Great Cheops Pyramid in Egypt, which basically are 2b equals pi h, or 2 times the length of the base is equal to pi times the height. This one that I built had a height of about 10 feet. A few years later, I built a couple of smaller ones. And these smaller ones had a base of about, maybe it was a base of, I think it was about 12 or 16 inches, the base, okay? And I used the same ratio, and I did some experiments, and I wasn't really knowing what I was looking for until I started to notice a difference. For instance, I remember this very well. I had built a pyramid, and I built a cube. And the cube had the same basic base area as the pyramid. And I bought some chopped meat. And I took 2 equal amounts of chopped meat, and I put one under the pyramid and one under the cube. These are both made out of clear plastic. And there they sat. And after a few days, the one that was not, the meat started to change color after a week. The one on the pyramid did not change color after a week, or even after 2 weeks. It stayed pink, while the one that was under the cube started to go rotten. It started to get brown and smell. This one stayed pink. It didn't stay pink forever. After like a month, it was, this one smelled so bad that I quit the experiment. But I did notice that there was a difference, a big difference. What I realized then was that modern science did not have a way to account for this phenomena, nor did it have any interest in finding a way to account for this phenomenon. I asked around. Over the next 3 decades, I was able to identify the force that is being focused by the pyramid. At the same time, I became very aware of how limited our thinking is and how the universal mindset of acceptance that we have all learned was being nurtured by the dominance of the intellectual consciousness functioning through the educational system, particularly in the materialistic presumptions of modern science. Now, scientists will tell you right out that they deal with what they can observe. But there's a problem with this way of thinking, and it's the simple fact that, as we say in metaphysics, everything we see is made out of everything that we do not see. So, where does that leave us? Well, it does leave us with a standard model of science today that can only account for about 30% of the energy that is currently expanding our universe. While they preach a Big Bang theory that supposedly started the universe. Now, we know, maybe you know, I know, that that's not true. The universe is eternal, just like its creator. That's what we learned when we were growing up. The problem is we can't see space, so we think it's empty. But it's actually full of energy. And what the pyramid does is this. It focuses the energy of space. I like to use the example of a convex lens, right? If you stand out with a convex lens on a clear day and the sun is shining and you put it focus it on a piece of paper, it starts the paper on fire. Or hold your own hand under it, it'll burn your hand, right? Because it's focusing the radiant energy that's passing through it, coming from the sun. Well, here's what the pyramid does. It focuses the energy that's going in the opposite direction. This field of energy is not currently recognized by the standard model of science, but it's there. I have found it, and I am experimenting with it. And what is the energy of space? Well, That's what the pyramid is focusing, the energy of space. What we saw in the derivation video is that the one source of all energy and all intelligence in the universe is the force that is being focused by the pyramid. And we identify that force by the second law of space in the science of space. And that second law of space is called the law of evolution, the force of evolution, the force of life itself. Now, if you're curious about the big pyramid that I built, you can see one of them I built in Texas. Go to my website, scienceofspace.com, and click on the pyramid button, and you'll see the large pyramid that I built in Texas. Now, I want to leave you with a couple of parting thoughts here, okay? The universe is the mind of the Creator. God is eternal. The universe is eternal. The Big Bang Theory is an attempt by intellectual science to do away with the need for a creator. If you believe in the standard model of science, you don't have to believe in God. It's that simple. But realistically, it's one or the other, okay? You're going to have to modify your conception of the standard model of science to factor in the truth about God, okay? Now, just because we drive around in cars and we fly around in airplanes and we send people to the moon and we're planning on sending people to Mars, that doesn't mean that we also have to be atheists. But unfortunately, that's pretty much what you are if you're willing to stoop to the level of believing in a universe that began with an explosion. This is an eternal universe. That Big Bang Theory is really a childish conjecture, but here's the key. The math and science on the PhD level that deals with that is so complicated that the average person feels left out of the argument. And that's the trick to intellectual elitism. I want to just say that stew has been brewing for over 100 years. In the 19th century, spiritualists were trying to compete with the pragmatists of science. And in 1887, when the Michelson-Morley experiment disproved the ether, or it claimed to disprove the ether, what they did was they also disproved the human soul. And that began the slow but steady decline of the belief in the essential spirituality of humanity. So today we're left with science that is taught in every school on the planet that teaches the Big Bang Theory, which does away with the need for belief in a creator, okay? And the problem with that is this is really the cause of global warming. You'll learn more about that in the next couple of videos. In video number 4, I'm going to show you the laws of space, and in video number 5, we're going to begin to undo the damage that has been done by materialism to the immortal soul, to the immortal life of the human soul. Thank you very much for tuning in today for video number 3, and I'll try to keep this interesting enough for you to come back and see me for video number 4. Thank you very much.